and you will count from the morrow of the Shabbos, meaning the day after the first day of Pesach, from the day that you bring the Omer, that it's a waving carbon, you raise it in the Beis Hamikdash, Sheva Shabbos Tmimis Tiyana, there will be 7 complete weeks. And it concludes, Tisperu Chamishim Yom, you will count 50 days. Then it will be the day of the first fruits. It's also called the Yom Tov of Shavuos, and also the Zman Matan Torah, the time of the giving of the Torah. And the Alter Rebbe explains concerning this in Likutei Torah, וספרתם ומלושן ספירוס ובהירוס, shinen, וכמו אבן ספיר. The word of Sfartem is related to the word Even Sapir, a sapphire stone. Sapphire stone means that it's shining, so it means brilliance and shining. V'chein, Eser Sfiras, the same thing when we use the term in Kabbalah, in Chassidus, the term of Eser Sfiras. What's the idea of Eser Sfiras? Eser Sfiras is the idea of the Humaloshim Behirus, this idea that it's shining, it's a revelation. Hainu, this means the Echad Apirushim Mashin Nekras Kain Sfiras Humaloshin Sapir Bohir. One of the reasons why the Sfiras are called by the name Sfiras is because it is brilliant, it's shining. Based on this, the Alter Rebbe explains the meaning of the pasuk. It doesn't just mean to count, but also to draw down the ray of the makifim, that come down from the mar of the Shabbos, that it should shine in you. So in other words, on the mar of the Shabbos, there's levels that are makif that comes down. That's the idea of Machras HaShabbos. Shabbos shows on a level that's Machras HaShabbos. Chassidus explains is on the morrow of the Shabbos, beyond Seder Ishtalshlus. The 7 days of the week is Seder Ishtalshlus. Machras HaShabbos is beyond Seder Ishtalshlus. We need to take that level, it's beyond Seder Ishtalshlus, the level of the makif, and you need to make Wisfartem, as soll in Eich hereinscheinen, it should shine into you. V'tumshach habehirus, and this brilliance and brightness should be drawn down. Wisfartem, and you should make it shine. Gam biyoim haviyach mesoimrat nufa. Also on the day that you bring the oimrat nufa, she'ozu aschal svirs oimer in the svartim goimer. That's the beginning of the counting of the oimer, the idea of when we say svartim. So from that day, we're already counting. We count the night going into the day of bringing the korban oimer. Ad sheyev sheva shabbos, until you'll have 7 weeks. The Shabbat Shabbos is Tmimis, and not just 7 weeks, but 7 complete weeks. Until it comes that you will count 50 days, and also we hear the word Tisperu, the Gam Tisperu, Meloshin Sapirus, Behirus, Evan Sapir. Also Tisperu is from the expression of shining and brilliance, a sapphire stone. After this whole process of taking the makifim into pnimius for 7 complete weeks and everything that the pasuk is talking about over here, then comes down the matter and the time of the giving of the Torah. And this is what the Rebbe is going to explain the Maamar, this whole linkage, that how one goes to the other. B'chlalus in general, in avoidance of the Sfiras Omer, this avoid of the counting of the Omer and illuminating those days from the Makifim, it connects, it joins the time of our freedom, the Yom Tov, the time of the Yom Tov of Pesach, with the time of the giving of the Torah. Now this connection was already established right away that Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai when he gave him the mission to take the Yinar Mitzrayim. The Hiniksi, it says in the pasuk that Hashem told Moshe, Mitzrayim, when you take out this nation from Mitzrayim, you will serve Hashem on this mountain. The Yitzias Mitzrayim Kshurei Matan Torah. That the going out of Mitzrayim is connected with the giving of the Torah. You shall serve Hashem on this mountain. So we see that there is a transition or a a goal, a purpose, that we're going from Yetzias Mitzrayim to Matan Torah. So then there has to be the linkage, the thing that connects them. What bonds and connects the time of our freedom and the Yom Tov Pesach to Matan Torah is the avoida that's in between the two. Avoida the oimer atnufa, the avoida of the oimer that you wave, u'ba'ofen the tisperu, in a way that you are shining it. Yisrael oivdim as a binyan ha'oimer at shemeirim va'oisim oisil the boyer v'saper, that Yidden work in this matter, in the idea of the oimer, until they make it shine and make it as something illuminating and brilliant and so on, adshu b'shleimus, until this illumination is complete, by from the tmimis, in a way that is, we said Shava Shabbos is not just 7 weeks, but it has to be tmimis, it has to be complete and perfect. Ad shenasa shleimus tisperu chamishim yom, until it becomes the perfection of, you have to do this illumination of 50 days. The 50 days is beyond the level of 7 weeks. 7 weeks is only 49 days. The 50th day indicates, like Chassidus explains, beyond those levels. So that's how great and that's how powerful our avodah is, that we illuminate not just 7 weeks, but we illuminate 50 days. By days and nimshach shleimus inyan, the nimshach tachlis hashleimus in the Matan Torah. By doing all of this that he just now spoke about from Yetzias Mitzrayim throughout this whole period of time, that comes down the ultimate perfection, the idea of Matan Torah. So now the Rebbe is going to explain this, going into what exactly we're talking about instead of just the overview. Bottom paragraph, the Klos Habir Bezeh, the general explanation, and all of this, Dinya Torah, Klolos Uprotes Nemra. The Torah was said both in a general manner and in a detailed manner. So it will say something in generalities, and then it'll break it down in detail. Because Torah has the general and the detailed, the specific, so that's also the reason why in the world there is the general and then there's the details. And also, Adam, because it's so in Torah, so too it's in the avoid of a person. All matters are to be found both in a general manner and in a detailed manner. Just like in detail, every specific avoida has to be in a way of have to be rushing towards our source, pulling towards our source, and then returning. Like it says, top of the next page, that the chayis are rushing and returning. Now, that is talking about a nevuah about malachim, that the malachim that Yechezkel and Navi saw were rushing back and forth. But the idea of chayis can have in it multiple meanings. When it says that the chayis are rotzi v'shuv, is included many different ideas. Both the literal idea of chayis and the word life force, vitality. The life force and vitality of the worlds and the chain order of descent. So that is in a way of rotzi v'shuv. And also the chayis of the 10 different things that are called chayim. Yidden are called chayim, like we're soon going to bring Torah is called chayim, etc. So all the things that fall into the category that Torah calls alive, all of those have in it the components of rotzi v'shuv, rushing to its source and returning. Until the hamshachah that you are cleaving to Hashem, dear God, that you are alive. That this happens through the avoid of the person, because as you are cleaving, and then chaim kol chamayim. So there's the chaim of a yid that's a result of their dveikis in Hashem, their connection with Hashem. And also also that those hamshachas that come down in Torah's Chaim are also in a way of rotzi v'shoiv. In the kol amshachas eilem chiras rotzi v'shoiv. All these amshachas in our way are rushing towards Hashem and returning. The reason why every specific and detailed avodah is in a way of rushing and returning, that's because, why is it in every detailed thing? Like we said, everything is klolos apratis, as in a way of rushing and returning. That's because in the avodah klolos, in the general thing, it's also in a way of rotzi v'shoiv. How much more so when we're talking about the most general idea of a yid, that through that matter Yidden entered under the wings of the Shekhinah in general. In other words, the whole process of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Sfiras HaOmer, Matan Torah, since that is the process which brought the Yidden to be under the wings of the Shekhinah, brought the Yidden to be part of and be nizgala by them, the Bechira of Hashem in them. So therefore, since it's such a general thing, it must for sure be in a way of Rotzi v'Shoiv. Hinei HaRotzi Shebez Hoye B'Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's supposed to say Hoye, not Hashem. The Rotzui aspect that of this process of the Yidden becoming Tachas Kamfi Ashchina, that occurred when the Yidden went out of Mitzrayim. Shalzen, them are concerning the time of the Yidden going out of Mitzrayim, it says, Mashcheni acharecha narutza. Draw me and pull me after you, we will run. So that is the rushing and running towards Hashem. And afterwards, the return, coming back down, that was a Matan Torah. Like it says, that Hashem descended on Har Sinai, Sheyam Shocha, it's the drawing down from above to below. And in the way that's settled, that's the idea of the return. Since in the general manner, it's in a way of rushing towards Hashem, going out of Mitzrayim, and returning is the level of Matan Torah. Comes out similar to this also in every individual avodah. That's in a way of rushing and returning, that every avodah that the Yid does has in it the Rotzui component and has the Shoiv component, because when the Yidden became the Yidden, it was in a process of Rotzui v'Shoiv. So now he's going to elaborate on the Rotzui of Yetzias Mitzrayim and the Shoiv of Matan Torah. Second paragraph on the second page. To be able to understand why going out of Mitzrayim is the idea of rushing towards Hashem, and Matan Torah is the idea that it's coming down. Once we've established that it's a system of Rotzi v'Shoiv, so why between the Rotzi and the Shoiv do you need to have the counting of the Omer? The Lechur seemingly had a maspika in the Yetzias Mitzrayim Rotzi Matan Torah vayeda vayal Har Sinai Shoiv. It should have been sufficient if we would have just both those components of Rotzi v'Shoiv. You would have Yetzias Mitzrayim, which is Rotzi. You have Matan Torah, which is Shoiv. That's enough. You have what you need. Why does it have to be in between? The idea of the counting of the Omer. Beginning from the Maamar of the Shabbos, that on the Maamar of the Shabbos, meaning the second day Pesach, we bring the Korban Omer. The Tenuva, the Ava is in the way of waving it and raising it up. Kishmai, like it's called, Omer HaTenufa, the Omer of the waving, of the raising. Pashtus Nikrake in the simple, meaning why the Omer is called Omer HaTenufa. Al Shem the Heinefus Omer, because it says he will wave, he will raise up the Omer. Shetzarech La Nife, like Bi'amamata L'mayla, needs to wave it and raise it from below to above. Behind this means Sha'ava Hi Ba'ofen the Tenufa. How does one have to bring the Omer? They have to bring it specifically in a way of this waving and raising it up. Only when we have all these things, following Pesach, following Yetzias Mitzrayim, following the Ratzui, then once all these things are done, the Omer, the Tenufa, the Sfiras HaOmer, then you can have Matan Torah. Moishu gam be pashtus. Shakvi is this man Matan Torah ain't a tlui b've'achodesh. Like it's also in the simple sense that the establishment of the time of Matan Torah is not dependent on the days of the month. Not like other Yom Tovim, and that's brought down the Torah. All other Yom Tovim, it says, it'll be on this and this day of this and this month, you will celebrate such and such. The 14th of the day of Nisan, you bring the Korban Pesach. The night going into the 15th is the mitzvah of Achilas Matzah. The 10th day of the 7th month is Yom Kippur. The first day of that month is Rosh Hashanah. Shavuos doesn't have a date in the Torah because it's independent of the date. It can come out in various dates. That it actually is Pam B'chamisha, Pam B'shisha, Pam B'shiva. In the times before we had an established calendar, and we had the idea of the months being established by seeing the new moon. So depending if the month of Iyar if the month of Nisan had 30 days or it had 29 days, and the same thing if Iyar had 30 days or 29 days, now it's established. Nisan will have the full month, and the year will have not full month. Now that's the way it's established now. But in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, it could have been either way. So depending if they were both chaser, if they were both 29 days months, so it could be that 50 days later would be the 7th of the year. If it would be both months would be full, both months would be 30-day months. So then the time of the 50th day, in other words, Matan Torah, would come out on the 5th of Sivan. If it's one and one full, one chaser, so then it will be like it is now. That would be Vav Sivan. But what's the point of realizing that? That we see that Shavuos is completely dependent upon Sfiras HaOmer, and that's what makes Shavuos. Whenever Sfiras HaOmer concludes, regardless of the day of the month, Kiyim totally, but Sfiras HaOmer is dependent upon the counting of the Omer. The Kasher Nishlam is Hasfira Boy from the Shevet Shabbos is Tmimah when the Sfira is completed in a way of 7 whole weeks. Ulamailam is even higher than that. But even the Tispru Chamishim Yom in a manner of you shall count 50 days. Like that, we said the 50th day is the higher level than the 49, the 7 weeks prior to it. In the Ozu Matan Torah, then we come to Matan Torah. So the question is, why is Matan Torah dependent upon this whole process? And even the date of Matan Torah, the date of Shavuos, is determined by the Sfiras HaOmer. Seemingly, Ratzui and Shoiv. We have the Ratzui of Yetzias Mitzrayim, we have the Shoiv of Matan Torah. Why this intermediate level? Why this idea that the whole Matan Torah is built on, that we only celebrate it and we only mark it on the 50th day? It's all dependent upon Sfiras HaOmer. So the Rebbe concludes, or the Rebbe continues. Last paragraph on the page, V'yuvin ze behagdim nekudas in the Matan Torah. This will be understood by first prefacing the point of the idea of Matan Torah. The idea of Matan Torah is Shaydei Matan Torah hoyas tachlis hashleimus ba'olam. Through Matan Torah, there was the ultimate perfection in the world. Shahoyam shachas alakus ba'olam ad la'ofen kazeh, the Yisrael Medrash, that the drawing down of godliness was in the world to such a manner, like it's brought down the Medrash, Mekol Dalet Pinas Ha'olam, from all the 4 corners of the world, from above and below. This voice of Hashem, the sound of Hashem, came through everything and would say, I am Hashem your God. Through the fact through that the world was so immersed and permeated by Hashem's voice, so the world was in its ultimate perfect state. This became a preparation in the beginning, that afterwards should be able to be followed the avoid of a person, but if in such a manner that those above should be able to descend below, and those below should be able to ascend above. Top of the third page of the Maamar 211. So that was like laying the groundwork for that joining by the voice of Hashem permeating the entire existence. Move on from the fact that we're saying this, it's understood. So they should be able to be the idea of the giving of the Torah. It must be with a preparation. The preparation has to be both from those above, and it has to be the preparation also from those below. The idea of those above and those below, and the person himself. And versus the nefesh habamis. The nefesh halakis is considered the elyonim in the person. That the godly soul is a part of Hashem mamish above. The emphasis is not in the mamish part. The emphasis is more in the word mamal, that's the elyonim, that's the above. That's the elyonim of the person. And his animal soul, that is the tachtoinim in him. Through the nefesh habamis, it comes down that the elyonim and the nefesh halakis could permeate and deal with his body and his allotted portion in the world. So I should be able to the idea of Matan Torah. There has to be a preparation initially. First, there has to be a preparation both in the godly soul, in the elyonim of the person, and there has to be a preparation also in the tachtonim of the person, his animal souls, nefesh habamis. Only after there was a preparation in both of them, in the elyonim of the person and the tachtonim of the person, the nefesh halakis and nefesh habamis, then there could be the nullifying of the decree. The elyonim, that decree that was the separation between the ones above cannot descend below, and the ones below cannot ascend above. Then, after the preparation, that's when that decree could be nullified totally. And then there could begin the avodah in a way that those above should descend below, and those below can ascend above. Second paragraph on the third page. Just like it was by Matan Torah, when there was the nullifying of the decree. Hashem said, "I'm the one that's going to start this." Never, like it says, that Hashem descended on Har Sinai. And following Hashem descending on Har Sinai began the avodah from below. Vel Moshe Maamar Elei Elokim, and he told Moshe, go up to Hashem. So there was a descent from above. The elyonim came down here below, and Hashem said, I will begin this process of the removal of this decree between the above and below. And then the next stage is that the below comes up above. So just like then it was first from above and then from below, so too it's in the general avoid of a person. There has to be initially the empowerment from above, that Hashem says, I am the one that begins. That's the empowerment from above. And only afterwards, it begins the avoid of the person himself that he's doing, not the Nesinas Koyach from above, his own avoida, like it says, Vel Moshe Amar Le Elokim. And to Moshe he said, go up to Hashem. So even though this is by Matan Torah this took place, and this is in every person within their nefesh, so too it's an avoida of the preparation for Matan Torah, that there also had to be these two things. So too in the avoid the preparation to Matan Torah. There had to be, for the preparation for Matan Torah, there had to be an empowerment from above. שזהו מה שהיה צריך לי, העניין דניגלה עליהם מלך מלך המלך הקדוש ברוך הוא בכבודו בעצמו, שהגילם על מעלה. That's why it was that Hashem revealed himself upon them in his own glory and essence, that because there was a revelation from above, very high above. From such a level that's beyond, and it's not even at all within the definition and the categories of above and below. That's the idea of in his own glory, in his own essence, meaning the most highest level, Kapirish, which Sadam Rashab saying, like the Rebbe Rashab explained, in his own glory refers to the Malchus by himself prior to the Tzimtzum. And Atzmai goes on the Tiferes of himself before the Tzimtzum. After this revelation and this empowerment, began the avodah of the Omer of the waving, and we'll go on to explain how that is and what that reflects in the person's service to Hashem.